But why don't you just unpack for us, from your perspective, what's the opportunity here with this new fund, and how does sports and education go together? Both the crisis, but where do you see the solutions at play?
Thank you very much for having me with this very distinguished panel. Let me try and put this into a context. Nelson Mandela famously said that education is the most powerful weapon you could use to transform the world. I think sports is equally the most effective tool to change society. And Uncle Madiba knew that, and we saw it, he knew the use of, how we could do a sport, use a sport to transform his society, his people. You could remember in 1995, the Rugby World Cup in South Africa, and the Bafana performance, the national football team, the same year, that was won by South Africa. If you look at the national anthem of the South African national anthem, it is written in about 6 languages. So when you sing it, it starts with, I think, with Oxwa and ends with English. So people tend to sing the song in your own language and stop there. But after the World Cup, after the Rugby World Cup and the African Nations Cup, South African society began to sing the national anthem in totality. Sport is, I think, very important. It gives you the opportunity to unite people, to create peace, for health, for education. And South Sudan, you might remember during the Paris Olympic, played the US. And we almost defeated the Americans. Can you believe South Sudan with America? That day in South Sudan, we forgot about everything. We were on the map. Everybody began to look for South Sudan. So it gives you hope. It gives you the opportunity to believe in yourself. And that is what sports can do.
Well, and Minister mentioned the 2010 World Cup, and one of the anthems from that World Cup was also from the great Shakira, who will be performing at this Saturday's Global Citizen Festival. So get your tickets, and if you haven't taken action, take action. Otherwise, you can watch it online, but make sure you redeem it. It's going to be great, and the weather gods are being kind to us, so do join us for it. Yeah, you can give that a round of applause as well, because we can't have it raining. Rémy, the French Development Agency, you've invested something like more than 200 million euros in education, impacting more than 10 million beneficiaries. France is a leader in this area. What lessons, when it comes to this agenda, do you have in store? And for us, as we embark on this new fund, what's your tips for us?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. Congratulations to South Sudan. Fondly remember in Paris your games. And excellent this partnership with FIFA and Global Citizens. Of course, big sports events are very important for what we're doing and to speed up the mobilization of sports for development. So we had the chance having the Paris Olympics next year. The FIFA World Cup here in the US is a tremendous occasion for you. And I want to highlight the Youth Olympic Games, which will take place in Dakar, in Senegal, a year from now, in November 2026. As crazy as it seems, this is the first Olympic event organized in Africa since Baron de Coubertin in 1896. So it's very important, pay attention, and hopefully it will encourage all of us willing, again, to mobilize sports as an accelerator for change, which is something still a bit awkward for serious development economists. So we can, using these large events, provide the evidence that this is happening. We will have a report made with the World Bank, between the World Bank and AFD on this in Dakar 1 year ago. And yes, now for about a decade we are accumulating cases that we can share, of course, with all of you. It's you can finance sports infrastructure through waste management projects. Places where you sort out the waste, it's useful to have sports fields. This is what we are doing in Lomé. And it's a loan, so of course it's at scale. Urban development, health, you can insert sport component within. And of course, but other panelists will be more specific than I am. Education is an obvious one. So that's what we're doing with NBA Africa, in Nigeria notably, in Lagos. That's what we are doing with IOC, Kirsty Coventry from Zimbabwe in town, in Tunisia at scale. And also a partnership with FIFA on our side, starting in Rwanda and Benin. President Infantino committed to match and to invest in 1,000 mini pitches as long as we provide the schools. So so we made a partnership with the Global Partnership on Education and FIFA that is growing. Okay, we finance the schools, the infrastructure, and then FIFA install the mini pitches in these institutions. So that's the kind of thing we're doing, and of course ready to do way more.
So Yasmine, just building on what Rémy said, and there's a lot of great insights there, but you're someone as the founder and executive director of Education Cannot Wait. I mean, you've worked in some of the hardest places in the world. I mean, you've rang me countless times, whether you've been on the ground in Ukraine or in Afghanistan, you know, trying to get girls educated. I mean, what's your lessons here? And where do you see the importance of how sport can be a bridge to help educate the children of the world?
Okay, thank you very much, Mike, and thank you all my fellow speakers. Well, having worked on education for so many years, what is unique with the Global Citizen and FIFA Education Fund is finally we connect the dots between sports and education. It's never happened before. It's unique and it's historical. Why? Because usually we look at education, it's just academic learning, and we forget that with education you need to improve your cognitive skills. You do that through sports. You need to work on your competitive edge. And it's not just about competing with others, competing with yourself. You set your records. That's how you win the race, the human race in life, your potentials. And you learn team spirit. That's what sports is all about. I've been an athlete all my life. And I can tell you, you wonder where my energy comes from? It comes just from that. So I think that the Global Citizen Fund and the Global Citizen FIFA Fund is unique. Unique. It's never happened before, will not happen again. And for all of you, and not just you who are in the room today, for all your connections and networks, private sector, foundations, and public sector, if you want to invest in strong, powerful leaders, scientists, entrepreneurs, you invest in the Global Citizen and the FIFA Fund because it connects the dots. Thank you.
I think we all love, yeah. That's the energy we need, and that's the energy we need when, as you always remind me, education cannot wait. I mean, because there's so many kids out of school. But just on one thing, I mean, you said sport and education, it hasn't been merged, at least maybe not at the level of FIFA. But around the world, you know, we always recognize that we work in partnership with others. And Gbemisola, you know, you've done this. You've brokered partnerships at the highest levels with NBA Africa and the BMGA Foundation. I mean, you've started to do this. So what lessons and insights have you got to share?
Thank you, everyone, for having me today, and to the rest of my panelists. I think I will start out by really showing why that connection matters. Sports keeps young girls especially in school. Education multiplies the impact of the lessons they learn from sports. And she mentioned that there are life skills you get from playing sports, whether it's resilience, whether it's teamwork, whether it's communication. These are skills that stay with you for the rest of your life. I mean, if you think about it, in the classroom, you're learning hard skills. And those soft skills are the most crucial and fundamental things that determine whether you're successful or not. Then when you now add sports and education together, those two together drive development. They turn young girls to become empowered women who uplift their community. And why is that very important? I always like using statistics to sort of drive home the point. When it comes down to the opportunities young girls have in comparison to boys, young girls have 1.3 million less opportunities than boys to play sports globally, okay? When we talk about the connection about education and sports, you find that your average young girl, by the time she turns 17, 50% of them have stopped playing sports. And the question is, why do they stop playing sports? You find that with the way sports is structured, I mean, now we can all see the emergence of female sports globally. But when you take a step back, and let's talk about basketball, because, I mean, we've done a lot of work with AFD, for example, when I worked for the NBA, and I can speak a little bit to that. You find that by the age of 17, most young girls who played basketball stop playing basketball. The question is why? Because you find that a lot of community courts are not built with gender mainstreaming in mind. They're not built in locations where young girls feel safe to go play sports, or the courts are not well lit. And why is that very important? What we did in partnership with AFD was we built a lot of courts. When I worked for the NBA, we built a lot of courts in Nigeria, but also ensuring that there was the appropriate programming on the court. So when I say appropriate programming on the courts, what you're talking about is ensuring that the programs are designed to deliberately target specific skills gap that we saw in Nigeria. So for Nigeria in particular, the 4 main skill gaps is critical thinking, communication skills, leadership skills, and emotional intelligence. So you make sure that the programming on the court targets those programs. So from a partnership standpoint, it's one of those things where from a public sector standpoint, from private sector, using AFD as an example, I would say with BMGA Foundation, one of the things that we've been very critical in doing is making sure that we're working with institutions. So we've worked with the likes of Cambridge, with the likes of Yale, to ensure that university students, and specifically for young girls, are being connected with mentors in all these schools via sporting programs to ensure that they're being prepared for work in the 21st century. So that's an example of the work we've done at BMGA, an example of the work I did when I worked with the NBA. I probably would say as of 4 months ago. I left the NBA 4 months ago.
So this is the impact sessions, after all, and today has been a day of announcements. And my understanding, Rémy, not to put you on the spot, but I've been told you've got some special news you want to share with us?
No, a proposal to join forces between your new fund. I think that's very precious. And this community that is structuring, organizing to finance at scale sports for development. I think that's very important. We are in a moment, you hear it in town, where international cooperation is threatened, is in question. And I really think that joining forces between the world of sports and the world of development finance can make a difference. At AFD, we committed to invest 500 million euro for the next 5 years. Wow. We're already past.
Let's give a round of applause for that.
35 last year to 100 this year. So we are really on track. It's both grants, loans, and investment. We created a fund with IFC and Helios to invest in arenas in Africa. You know, that's a missing piece for basketball, but also for music and cultural industries. So it's both public and private. And of course, Global Citizen coming with FIFA, setting incentives somehow for the whole community of public development banks can make a true difference. So welcome, global citizens.
Rémy, a round of applause. And we picked up on your proposal to work together, and I know our head of fund programming, Liz Agbo-Tabi, who just walked past, she'll be talking to you about that a bit later, but I know we don't have long left, and so, Minister, I'd love to come to you first. Just to close us out, I mean, what does success look like for you?
Sensing the energy and the passion in this room, I could say that the sky is the limit on the potential of what we can do with this work. So we have a small project we do with the Japanese called Yes for Sport, and where we bring together young people in the schools to play football and basketball. And this has really transformed the way the kids relate to themselves, whether they are female or male. So I believe that with this support, with this project, we have a lot to achieve with it.
How about yourself, Gbemisola?
What does success look like to me? It would be for sports to be seen as an equalizer, as a tool to really give both young boys and young girls the same opportunity. And that means that government and private sector deliberately working hand in hand, where we don't see education and sports as two separate tracks. We see them as a twin engine for development in different countries. So governments being very deliberate and very intentional to utilize sports to close the skills gap, and really having private sector work very closely with them, where we ensure that from elementary school, literally all the way to university, you create that opportunity for young boys and for young women with sports.
And last but not least, yeah, let's give a round of applause. Last but not least, to close us out, Yasmine, what does success look like to you?
So I was looking up there thinking, what is success? And in this specific case, I see 100 million young children and adolescents benefiting from the Global Citizen and FIFA education fund through sports and education. Okay? And why is that a success? Because the world is struggling with multilateralism. They're struggling and asking questions about humanity. And that's the beauty of Global Citizen. You have people from all walks of life, partners from all walks of life. Everyone is doing different things, with, be it governments, be it artists, be it foundations, be it private sector, entrepreneurs, we the people, the global citizens themselves, and the rest of the world, and not the least the children and adolescents. 100 of them being able to say, we benefited from the Global Citizen and FIFA Fund because you believed in this initiative, and I see it's happening. Thank you.
Let's give our incredible panel a round of applause. I think you can join us. We've learned a lot about the cause of education. We'll be back with more ways to get involved. But once again, please put your hands together. Thank you.